Hi guys, Dave Mad Max 6 here at the Mecca, and this is a brand new episode of Muscle Beach TV brought to you by Earn Clothing. And today, I have the very great pleasure to have Chris PsychoFitness for yet one more time on Muscle Beach TV. Chris, you must be in heaven right now. It's so good to have you back. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back. Hey, thanks, Jay. Thanks for having me.
So, Big Chris, I really wanted to do this interview. Actually, I told you right at the Olympia, I said, we really got to talk again because last time we talked, we actually spoke a few times on Muscle Beach TV. And I think the first time we did was actually, you reminded me of this, was 2 years ago. And what did you tell me 2 years ago?
I said Shawn would win the Olympia. Big words. They were very big words. And
Back then it was.
man, people mic drop, and you said, boom, right there. We had a few.
remember that?
We had it. Oh, I remember. I remember my words.
Oh my God, that's awesome. So let's talk about what's been happening. So let's go back to the beginning. A couple of years ago, a lot of changes in Gold's Venice, big changes. Dexter Jackson and Shawn Rhoden, which were both top two, top three guys at the Olympia, knocking on the door, about to get the title, decided to make a huge switch and leave Charles Glass to start training with you. So of course, the first question that I ask you is like, are you ready for this? Because this is a huge responsibility. Now these guys are trusting their career. They're not slouched. They're really good already. Now you have to take them from second and third to win the Olympia, and that was a huge. That was a huge challenge for you. But you took it head on, and back then, do you remember what you told me?
Oh, what part?
About taking on their training and stuff.
Oh yeah. I said I wasn't worried about it. I said I wasn't worried about it. I knew what needed to be done, and unfortunately, like I said before, what they came here for, they wasn't getting it. They came here for Flex Filler training, Chris Cormier training, Paul Dillette training. That's what they came here for, and they wasn't actually getting that. They were getting a version of it, but it was watered down. It was Kool-Aid with no sugar in it.
Okay, I like your analogy.
No one likes that. No one likes Kool-Aid with no sugar.
So you like to say, I'm old school training. I like to train with heavy weights, heavy compound movement, controlled, but heavy. That's your style, and you like to feel their muscle. You like to make sure that the right muscle is firing. That's what you're into. So let's talk about that year. So we roll into this Olympia. A lot is riding on your shoulder. Unfortunately, we don't get the result that we want.
Right.
Dexter finishes in
Fourth,
and Shawn
came in fifth.
Okay.
Right.
So I kind of felt, I don't want to say bad for you, but I was like, ooh, this is not what we were shooting for.
Right.
How did you feel, and how did the guy feel after that year, which is on paper disappointing for them?
Well, unlike other people, we didn't make this big public announcement and say what went wrong with the program.
No, that's what I'm asking.
So we didn't do that. Like some people, we'll get you later in the interview. So we just took the blow on the chin, and we dust ourselves up and like that. So Shawn, he had a broken jaw. So we started with Shawn at like 235, no off season, fat, soft, skinny. Like it was like, even for me, I was like, oh my God, are we gonna be able to do this? So we ended up fifth in the world. So with Dexter, the same thing. We had some issues with Dexter as well that we didn't know about. He had like this little virus in his stomach that had his stomach protruding, and it kind of messed up. Then he couldn't digest his food. Right. These were things that we didn't know why, but Dexter would like throw up before the workout sometimes, and come in on empty stomach, and as he got close to the show, these things would get worse and worse and worse. But Dexter's not going to cry about it. He's going to get the job done, and still ended up fourth in the world. Right. So this is why they didn't kick me out. This is why they kept me. They knew there were other issues going on that preceded, them taking first and second. So
they never actually said, you know what, this isn't working out for me. Maybe I'm making a change. It was never a question.
Not at all. And it was never questioned at all, especially by Shawn. And even with Shawn, I remember, I'm a big crier. So I remember the year before, and Shawn took fifth, and I was like, he said, no, dude, we took fifth in the world. We got this. We'll come back, and we're going to win this. That's how confident Shawn was. We knew we were going to win it.
You know what? I remember, it's great that you're mentioning it, because I remember seeing him right after the show on Saturday, and I kind of felt bad because I really liked Shawn, and I was hoping that he would do well, of course. And I told him, I'm sorry, Shawn, this is a setback. And he looked at me, he was like, this is no setback. It's okay. I'm happy with it. Right. He has this ability to deal with defeat just as well as he deals with winning. And I think that's the trait of a great champion. Don't you agree?
I totally agree. I mean, it took him 4 or 5 days to even hit that he was Mr. Olympia. It never sunk in. So it's like, and even that, I mean, there's no gloating. There's no I told you so. It's just like, okay, I'm Mr. Olympia. This is what I have to do.
He's so chill. which I think, he's so chill that I think a lot of times people kind of like, yeah, he's just be a little bit more, like which he was. This year he's actually been a little bit more talkative, a little bit more lively. But just like a lot of people have said, when they said that he was crazy, everything that he predicted, everything that he said this year on this interview with Jay came true. So this was not being delusional. This was not being cocky or arrogant. He knew. For some reason, he knew, you knew what was going to happen.
I mean, we had this thing going on between Aceto, Shawn, and myself, and like I would come in the gym and I say, Shawn, we're going to do this. He goes, yeah, that's what I was thinking, and vice versa. I mean, it was like this. It was everything. When it clicked, it just clicked, and he was healthy. The stomach ulcers were gone because that's what he had the second time at the Arnold. He had to back out. I mean, he was good, and I'm telling you, everything clicked and clicked and clicked. And I said, hey. I said, Shawn, we were in the posing room, and I said, hey, we were posing. He was soft, but Shawn's always soft like that. And I said, hey,
how long ago we're talking about?
I'm talking about 7 weeks out. Like 7
He was soft?
He was soft. He was soft, but he was ahead for Shawn. So I was like, hey, man, you should, train arms with no shirt on. He goes, you think so? He said, I was thinking the same thing. It's like, so you came in with no shirt on. So I knew a lot of people would lift off the gas. They would say, Shawn.
So that was a trick.
Oh, we had a lot of tricks. We had a lot of tricks, and we finally learned how to use social media to our advantage, and we had a lot of. So all the talking, they were talking to Shawn. They started writing, oh, he looks soft, or he's not going to do. Even on my YouTube channel, oh, he's not going to do it. He's not big enough, and he looks small. And it's okay, just keep watching, So a lot of times you see me in Shawn's ear, and I said, they're not even talking about you, Shawn. You're not even in the running to win this. You're not even close. I said, Shawn, know what the worst thing is? He says, what? When you ignore somebody. You ignore them. They don't even exist. And Shawn would shake his head, wouldn't say anything, but when I threw the weight in his hands, you could feel this fire, this intensity. I mean, this guy, he just revved this motor and like that. And I would say some personal things that people said, like, yeah, they said this about you and said that about you. He said, really? I said, yeah. And I used it to his advantage. Now, some guys, that may deflate them. With Shawn, he just rolled up his sleeve and he just dug in deep and deep and deep and deep. In fact, when I thought we turned it up, I got a text from Shawn. He's like, man, when are we going to turn it up? And I go, man, I don't want to hurt you. He said, hurt me. He says, hurt me. So I texted Cito and I said, hey, man, Shawn wants more. I don't want to break this guy. And Cito said, give it to him. He can take it. He can take it. And I'm telling you, everything that I do with Shawn, he absorbed it. Every friggin' rep, everything. And sometimes I think we're done, and Shawn go, hey, let's do this, or let's do that. And I go, okay, let's do it. And I mean, it just worked out perfect. And even the posing, and this guy was, usually he would change weekly. This guy was changing every 3 days. I mean, he was evolving. It was just like this thing was happening, and then we covered it up.
Yeah, that's what I heard about him, when I talked to you or Stanimals, and he has this ability to change so quickly. I mean, even me, when last time I was invited to an opposing room to go see him with Stan, he looked great. Yeah. But I saw Stan, I was like, oh my God, Stan's ready to step on stage like right now. Right. And then he showed me a picture a week later, I'm like,
right.
You know what I mean?
No, he can change like that. He can really change like that. So you can't count him out. Like, you can't count him out. When this guy digs deep into his training and cardio and his diet, I mean, whatever Aceto throws at him, it works. Yeah. It works. I mean, from down to the gram, it just works. And that's what's going on with Shawn. It's just this guy his body can change.
He's like Cormier. Remember Cormier back in the day? 2 weeks out, you're like, oh my God, I'll never do it. Then he shows up on stage,
right.
Like
see, with Cormier, you would see it coming. You would see this thing, it would wind up, and that's the same thing, that aggression that he would have and stuff like that. And Flex Wheeler had the same thing. When the more you talked about Flex Wheeler, the more better he would get. He was better when you talked about him. And same thing with Cormier. So honestly, this prep, like my whole thing on my end, I took it old school with them. I took basically what Flex Wheeler taught me, basically what Chris Cormier taught me, basically what Charles, and I put it all together. And that's what the physique you came in. And even Shawn Ray, Shawn Ray had this thing. Size for the sake of size, who cares? It all has to line up. It all has to fit together. And if you got 25-inch arms and a 52-inch waist, what's the point? I know. So the bodybuilding starts with the waistline, and sometimes we get blurred and we start thinking, oh, it's the arms or it's the quad sweep. It's like that. It starts with the waist at the core. That's the cornerstone of it, and that's what we did. And if you can't win an argument, you change an argument. So we're not going to outmass Phil. So why do we keep trying to outmass him? So let's out-symmetry him. Let's blow him with hardness. Let's be everything that he's not. And that's what happened.
So that was the game plan this year. You told me a little bit backstage after the Olympia. You said, you know what? Let's not play Phil's game. Let's play our game.
That's what we do. Same thing. Mr. Saturday Night. Phil comes in. He blows up. He gets harder. And he gets really aggressive. So I went back to Shawn's room. And I said, this is what Phil's going to do. I said, Honey's going to blow him up. He'll come back bigger and fuller, which is going to distort the waistline. He will be bigger, but you have to point that out with your waistline. So Shawn would do all these little movements to show that his waist was smaller. Change the story. Change it from his arms and his chest and change it to, hey, the first round of bodybuilding is a symmetry round. Let's keep that. It's a symmetry round. So that's what we did. So I said, Shawn, so when he gets all animated and starts jumping around, stand back and just look at him like he's an idiot. Like an idiot. And that's when Shawn folded his arms and put his hands on his hip and just looked at Phil. And Phil, well, I didn't know he self-destructed. I knew it would work, but to the degree it would work, I mean, he got winded and he really lost it. I mean, it was good for us, but I was kind of felt sad for him. I never seen a person self-destruct mentally like that, just by on stage like that. I mean, he really lost it.
Let's talk about the stage presence, because Shawn has looked tremendous, and I told this to Chris Aceto backstage as well. Shawn has looked tremendous several times on stage. He got 2 first runner-up position back in 2015, 2016. But what was lacking is always the attitude of a Mr. Olympia, the confidence of a Mr. Olympia. And this year, as soon as he walked on stage at the prejudging, I told Jay, whoa, this is not the same Shawn, man. And I knew right as he walked on stage with the head up high, he just looked like the champion. Don't you agree?
I totally agree. And like I said, that contributed to Flex Wheeler and Chris Cormier teaching me how to go through the compulsories in this posing room hour after hour after hour after hour. That was those guys teaching me that, and I passed it on to Shawn.
Yeah, every shot was picture perfect. He was taking his time in between the transition. He just looked so poised. Like, this is the way Jay calls it. He calls it have some poise on stage. It's not about being aggressive or being arrogant. It's about commanding the stage and have that poise where people look at you like, wow, this is the champ right there.
Well, Jay, I was standing there, and Shawn and Jay were talking, and I was like, this is a few weeks before, and Jay said, you have to start acting like Mr. Olympia. You have to start being Mr. Olympia right now. And I heard Jay say that, and I've heard him say it before, and I kind of thought about it, and I said, I mean, this is a 4-time Mr. Olympia that's giving us the playbook. He's handing this to us. Why are we not reading it? So that was the whole thing about it. So when Shawn started walking to the gym, he came in as Mr. Olympia. He came in as Mr. And he wasn't playing around with it. Like, he embraced it and he believed it. I mean, even the way he was talking to people, it was something different that he believed in. This was like 5 weeks out. Shawn knew he would win the show. He knew it.
It's funny you say that, and I'm going to say it now. I would have not said it before, but when last time we were here shooting, you guys were training right next to us. You're doing tricep extensions, remember? Right. And then he was talking to Shawn for a second, and I couldn't hear the conversation. You see them talking on film, but you can't hear what you're saying. And I was like, what were you guys talking about? And he said, I just told him, suck your gut in, man. It doesn't matter if you're actually in between sets, in between posing. It just always, and that's what he told them.
And that's the whole thing. So when we were posing here before we left for Vegas 8 days before, and we got there. I mean, we were like 2 o'clock in the morning still posing. And Shawn was sitting there holding his stomach. So his waist didn't get smaller. That was just waist control. It was just waist control. He
was conscious.
It's conscious of it, and he kept it. Like I'm saying, we looped it over and over again. Then he eat, then we posed, then he eat, we posed, and that's what we did. And it was just old school stuff. There's nothing like this big secret. Yeah. It was just basically stuff that we forgot and we stepped away from because we're so focused on size for size, we forgot about stage presentation, about delivering the package. So that's what we did.
How do you feel Shawn's going to represent the sport? Because now, and if we get a chance to talk to him and do an interview, I will ask him that myself. But, Shawn was very verbal in his interview with Jay that Mr. Olympia should represent the sport well. He should get out there. He should promote it. How do you think Shawn's going to handle that pressure to be the ambassador and the role model to the sport?
Well, I don't think the word pressure is going to apply. Shawn's just going to be himself. I'm telling you right now, he's a family man, he's a lover, he's a caring man, and I'm telling you, there's not one time that someone doesn't come to Shawn and he could be 0 cars for X amount of days and Shawn doesn't stop and engage with that person. I'm not talking about a fake engagement. I'm talking about, hey, Shawn, we got to get back going. I have to break it or I have to stop it. And, what I'm saying, there's a lot of things that, it was a cameraman and Shawn was talking to this kid, and he was a disabled kid, and I said, hey, get a picture of that, and Shawn wouldn't let me post it. I said, no, I was like, this is good PR. He says, no, I don't want to post stuff like that.
He's humble.
He's real humble and stuff like that. Because I said, but it was real. But Shawn didn't want it to look it was fake, and
he doesn't want, even when he does things just to be nice, he doesn't want people to think that he's doing it for other reasons.
Well, it's so many things. Before I've even trained Shawn has done things for my daughter that that I've never told anybody, like helpful out things and stuff like that.
I heard that stories like that about bro. He paid for Brad Rowe to ship it to Russia so he could compete because he thought he was good enough.
Exactly.
Brad told me.
He sent my daughter to camp several times before I was even training him. So I didn't even ask him. He just did it, And that's the kind of person
Get a heart of gold.
He's going to represent the sport really well. And think about it, he's going to bring so many people back to the sport and new people to the sport just on his humbleness and his lifestyle. And to me, it's like I'm excited about bodybuilding all over again. And then he thanked Jay, he thanked Flex Wheeler, he thanked Shawn.
So grateful.
He thanked all the people that inspired him. That's the first thing he did and stuff like that. And I want to thank those people too because those people had a part in the way I trained him, and it's all worked out. It's a really good thing. It's a good thing for bodybuilding.
Yeah, I know he was even asking me. He said, "Hey, can you talk to Jay so next time he goes to do the military base, I would love to tag along and do those kinds of things." I think that's great that he says things like that. I hope he does it.
It's great. So it's going to be really, really good. But one thing I want to bring up, I want to talk about Phil a little bit. And I hate to beat a dead horse and when he's down, but it's like when we lost. Now you understand that I was on the team with Flex Wheeler, Cormier, and we came back from Vegas many times with nothing in our hands. Never have I seen a display of like bad sportsmanship as like Phil. And I'm not beating him down. I'm not doing that. But come on, you can't. The guy beat you, and it was by margins that were incredible. You have to concede that, and you have to embrace that, and then you'll get better if you embrace it, but don't run from it. I'm just a trainer. I'm not a competitor, and I don't know what it feels like to lose. But I've been on losing teams, and we never took social media and basically said Phil's this and Phil that and Phil this and that. But when we said we're going to beat you, we beat you, and we beat you in winning fashion, fair and square. So embrace that and get better. We'll see you again, but it's really bad sportsmanship. It's really bad. It's not good.
I kind of feel bad for Phil because when you win that many times and you never lose, it's easy to win. Not that it's easy to win, but it's easy to never lose and feel like a champion. But to be able to be a winner, lose something that great, and come back, take the loss, and be better again, that's what makes you a true champions. And that's why I respect Jay so much. And I think that's why so many people respect Jay so much, because he's dealt his entire career with losses and wins and losses and wins. And that's why I think there's only one Jay, because he does that better than everybody else.
Yeah. That's once again, Jay like that. He's won, he's lost, he's won, he's lost. He's been unfairly judged, but he's still the same Jay. This guy's the same Jay from 15 years ago till today, and he's still giving back to the sport. If that's the guy that you admire coming in sport, maybe you should give him a call and embrace that and see how to handle this loss. But just beating the guy up and beating Shawn up when he won fair and square, and you were crushed. You were crushed, and you even knew it. I could see on the stage that Phil knew he lost. Like, he knew it. He was acting like he lost. He physically grabbed Shawn's arm in the pose down. He physically grabbed him. It was like, that's like desperation. But I respect you on the bodybuilding stage.
Yeah, he's a great champion. It's not about that.
He's a great champion. You have a great physique, and you were not off. We beat you fair and square. We beat two people. Shawn beat you, and he beat himself, and that's why he won.
Do you think Shawn knew he had won on Saturday night? Do you think he felt it?
Oh no, we all knew. We all knew. It was not what do we do? What do we that? It was just like.
I know that's what I'm saying though. But you know what? I'll give you an example. In 2005, supposedly Jay was going to win, and we were told even he was going to win, and he didn't win.
Right.
So there's always. I thought Shawn had it in the bag also on Saturday night, but until you hear, and I was telling people he's going to win, but until you hear that name, you're like, oh, I hope they're not going to take it away from him. And then when they finally said it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No. What I mean, the margins were like in the prejudging, Phil was crushed. It wasn't this close. It wasn't even close. It was crushed. And if you know bodybuilding, you break it down round for round, symmetry round. The only thing he had was more muscle on us. And of course, he won the back shot, so we turned that into a small waist shot, and then the hardness matched up. He was just too far behind. He was too far behind, and then the way he lost it on stage, he totally gave it up. He didn't represent it. Shawn at the night show represented Mr. Olympia. From the minute he stepped on the stage to the moment he stepped off, he was actually there. So no, we knew we had it. We knew we wouldn't be denied.
Are you? I was actually really happy with the IFBB and the judging panel to make such a tough call, because it was a very important contest. It was a tying record contest, and this was a big change that they made. It wasn't just like any other regular Olympia. It was just like back in '06 when Ronnie was about to to get the record as well. So when you make a change like that, there's a lot riding on it, and I really felt like they did the right thing. They did what should have happened.
Well, yeah, they did the right thing, and they gave it. And we changed bodybuilding. There's a few people that actually changed bodybuilding, and Shawn's going to go on record that he's changed the direction of bodybuilding. So now symmetry means something once again. It means something once again. Yeah. So we're back to that. But it's a really good feeling, and it feels great. But I mean, words cannot express what, and we brought it back home to Venice. That's the main thing. We brought it back home to Venice.
You're very happy about that.
Oh, yeah, because I give him a picture on the wall. So,
Oh, you really? Are you going to get it?
Oh, yeah, I give him a picture on the wall.
Is that what did it?
No, that what did it. That what did it. So,
I love it.
So, everything, I mean, it's a good day. It's a good day and stuff like that. But once again, Jay Cutler, Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, Charles Glass, they all played a huge part in this victory. And, I want to give a shout out to them, too. They made the person that you see here before you and stuff like that able to go in and fulfill the job. So I want to thank those guys as well.
Chris, I'm so happy for you. You're a good guy. You're a good trainer. And we saw that coming for a long time. And you had a lot to prove to people, not to yourself, because you knew you were able to do it. But you really proved yourself to these guys and the entire world. And now you're the real deal. So we're really happy for you. And I hope that your business thrive even more than what it does before. I know you're really busy. How can people get a hold of you if they want to hire you?
Oh, man, it's going to be hard. Well, PsychoFitness 21 on Instagram and PsychoFitness 21 my YouTube channel. Hit me up there. We'll get back to you. We'll get you in. And I wouldn't mind building a winning team. If you want to win and you're willing to pay the dues, let's do it. So a new saying for 2019
yep.
is built, not bought. PsychoFitness.
I love it. All right, Chris, thanks for coming back on the show. I really appreciate it. And congratulations to you and all your team, and to Shawn, of course. This is Dave Mad Max 6 for Muscle Beach TV on Cutler TV, and we're out.